Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Corner podcast for another team preview ahead of the 2026 AFL season. I'm Tyson. Joined alongside me is Darcy. Darcy, heading into another team preview. We're looking at St Kilda today. Bit of SuperCoach relevance here, isn't there?
Yeah, heaps, mate, heaps. You think you could expect most teams to have at least two, three of these guys in their starting squad? So yeah, a lot of relevant players, a lot of high ownership that we'll get into. And luckily enough for us, mate, they're currently playing as we speak. So their unofficial bracket match against Gold Coast is on at the moment. So we've got a few sort of notes about their roles and how they might set up come round one. So looking forward to that. Before we get stuck into things, mate, just thought I'd give a quick shout out again to our Unlimited League. You've got the code that I'll pass across to you in a second, but we've got our Unlimited League, so join us there if you want to put yourself up against the best. And also, if you're interested in some friendly competitiveness, there are some cash leagues as well, and all the info about that is on our socials. But in terms of the Unlimited League, the code is Tyson.
728323. I'm going to get it tatted
Very
on
good.
me, I reckon.
Yeah, very good. I gave you a bit of time to get that organised that time, so that's perfect. But no, without further ado, mate, we'll get stuck into it and start from the rookies as always. In defence, there's not really much there, so we'll go to the midfield. And there is one guy that's sort of jumping out a little bit. Jack Carroll, obviously come across from Carlton, didn't really do much in his first full season at St Kilda, but has been training with the halfbacks, lined up as a halfback today in that St Kilda side, and was involved in a few sort of chains out of halfback and getting his hands on the footy a little bit there. I think as a pure midfielder at the moment in Supercoach, I think it's one that we really should be looking at if he gets that round one berth. Obviously, St Kilda are playing round zero as well, so that's huge. So we get a free look at him. Hopefully, he gets a game. I think if he plays round zero, plays good enough, and he gets named in round one, he'll be at my side.
Yeah, he's actually currently in my side. And I like the fact that we get to look at him. They rated him at Carlton, like enough to, try and keep him. But, he's gone over to St Kilda for a bit more opportunity, which he didn't get last year, which I think they're now looking at putting him, trying to find the best role for him. He's trained a little bit as a forward in a bit of the preseason, but now looks like he's solidified at that halfback if Supercoach Gold is that halfback role. So especially for a guy at 120K, should be in a lot more sides if that is solidified in. So good to see that today. Another guy that's a rookie who's also come across is Paddy Dow. Is there any interest there in Paddy Dow?
Not heaps, mate. I just think that they've really bolstered up their midfield over the off season, bringing in the likes of Sam Flanders, moving NAS into the guts late last year. Like that sort of class, I just don't think there's much room for Paddy Dow. Philip Hu will come back and sort of get a lot of the midfield minutes in there as well. So yeah, the player that he is, you'd need big midfield minutes to be super coach relevant. I just don't think you'll get it.
Yeah, and we know that he can play all right. In 2025, he was priced at 327K, so it clearly shows that he can make some money. And didn't play a game, so that's why he's at the 164K. But we just haven't seen or heard enough to be able to pick him at this point in time. So it's just a little pass there, but maybe one to keep an eye on if he gets a role during the year and maybe a possible downgrade option. Let's move into the forward line where we've got a few rookies to discuss. Let's start with the lesser locks, I guess. Max King, obviously the big key forward, has got an injury currently, but he's only 150K. We know when he's on the park, he can he can just dominate games. Yeah, he's a very handy player. He's going to be a star of the future. What do you feel on Max King, maybe as a downgrade throughout the year?
Yeah, potentially throughout the year. I just think he's had no continuity with his footy for the last 2 years. I think even if he does come back, he'll struggle to get that rhythm back in his footy. So, yeah, that sort of elevated rookie price as well, 150K. I'm happy to leave that alone. Are you the same?
Yeah, it's a key forward. Look, it's easier to pick a key forward when they're I guess, rookie priced, if you want to put it that way. But he can play well in previous years. He scored a lot of 70s and stuff, put up a few triple figure scores. So, but I think it's an easy pass since he's back. Not back until round 4, the reports are saying at this point. So, easy pass on him. Maybe one to downgrade throughout the year because we know he has a solidified spot. Another one that's maybe not on a lot of people's radar is Dan Butler. Do you like the looks of Dan Butler as a forward for that rookie price of 181K? I know he's a bit more expensive than your standard rookie, but being a bit more experienced, not looking there.
Yeah, it's just the elevated price for me that just sort of strays me away, and just being forward only, you're sort of trapped in him a little bit. I think at 180K, I just think there's better options. Like, I'd rather start a rookie at a lot cheaper, or someone with a better role around that price. So, look, the next guy we're going to talk about is cheaper and just has a 100 times better role and will score a lot better. So, yeah, I'm not that sold on Dan Butler. He'll probably be a warm body that you can rely on, but yeah, I'm not really that keen on starting him.
Yeah, in previous seasons, he's averaged 50s to 55 at best. So you're not really buying that for 180K. So I think that's an easy pass. But this guy, you said at the start, people should have 2 to 3 players from St Kilda to start their side. There is 2 absolute locks to start in everyone's side. This is one of them. He's only 56% owned. I say only because this guy could be a premium. I really think that as a forward. So Mateus Philippou, we're talking about 168K. It's easy, just set and forget, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. We saw what he could do in the back end of 2024 when he made that move in the midfield. He looked classy as. It looked like that's where he belongs. And since then, it's just been riddled with injury, unfortunately. He had a really rough year last year. And even when he got in the park, he wasn't able to get into that midfield, just, I think, due to lack of conditioning, really. But had a full preseason now, started in the first centre bounce in today's practice match as well, which is huge alongside Flanders and NAS. So if that's a sign for a lot of people's super coaches moving forward, it's a good sign. But yeah, he's one that everyone needs to lock away.
Yeah. And people will look back to last year. Maybe this is why they're scared off. But in the last 3 games of the year, it wasn't even really sub-affected. He scored a 21, a 6, and a 16. There's no issues with that because he's playing a different role.
After us super coaches. He wanted to get his price down a little bit for this year. In one eye, 2026.
Definitely looking after us. But yeah, he's in that midfield. He's probably, like you said, starting midfield. Whether he's the 3rd or 4th cog, it doesn't really matter. At 168K for a guy that's got that much potential, it's easy to lock him away and put him on field because he should be a reliable scorer as well. I know a lot of people going mid-price heavy in their forward line, but Mateus Philippou, just make him at least your F6. That's an easy lock away, set and forget. But other than that, I reckon we just move into the mid-prices now, Das. One guy that sort of came onto the scene last year, Toby Travalia, defender mid at 234K. Any interest there at all?
Not if they're overlooking him and bringing in Jack Carroll to play that half-back role, not really. If he was trusted with more of a role back there, I'd be potentially interested, but it doesn't seem like he will be. So at that price, it's going to have to be a no. Are you the same?
Yeah, I think that's just an easy no. 234K is just too much to buy for Toby Travalia. There is a lot of hype around the guy, but yeah, it's first season last year. Didn't do too much, but yeah, Jack Carroll might take that spot. Let's move to the forward line, and there's 2 guys we're going to touch on. We'll start with the lesser sought after guy in Darcy Wilson, mid forward at 335K. There is a lot of talk about this guy being a future star of the game when he is on, and you can tell he's going to be. So at 335K, why can't we just back that in this year?
I really rate him as a player. I think he will be a star. He just can't get the right role. Like, he's played a bit of half forward, played a bit on the wing, and it's just not super coach friendly. Last year, went back to the 2s and played as an inside mid and really dominated. And I kind of hope that that's their long-term view with Darcy Wilson, and there is a world in which we can pick him up in Supercoach for this price, and he can play as that inside mid. But at the moment, it seems like he's fallen behind a few, unfortunately. So just with too many question marks around the role, I wouldn't be jumping on it. But yeah, I think there is a lot of talent there.
Yeah, I agree. He's just going to be in and out of the side, and I don't see him fluctuating too much from this price for next year. Maybe we just earmark him for 2027 Supercoach already, even though 2026 hasn't even started. So, yeah, we'll see how he goes and tracks along this year. But yeah, if the role changes, maybe a couple of injuries or something, there's always room for movement within side. So that could be one that Darcy Wilson benefits from. But let's go to the absolute second lock of everyone's Supercoach side, and he's still only in 62%. Sam Flanders, 396K, sort of trade to St Kilda for opportunity because he is a midfielder, and Gold Coast just weren't utilising that. Is this just as easy as Mateus Philippou as a set and forget?
Yeah, I'd go as far as saying he's the biggest lock we have this year. He averaged 119 in 2024 when he had the role. Started in the first and a bounce today in that Pracky match, and then drifted a halfback and got racked up pull off halfback as well. So the role is Supercoach gold. The price is too hard to pass up, and the player, we know how good he can be when he's at his best. Yeah, there's not even much discussion here. I think Sam Flanders is the biggest lock we have this year.
Yeah, the biggest lock. Yeah, you said he had the role in 2024. He didn't drop below 100 until round 21, which is just crazy to say. And admittedly, it was against West Coast as well, which is pretty funny.
Tough matchup.
Yeah, he's just shown that he can do it against all sides, all the top end sides. So yeah, just lock him away.
Well, we both had him top 2 in the forwards. That was our prediction coming into year. Are you still thinking the same?
Yeah, 100%. That midfield role, you literally just said, like 119 average. That's top midfield. Like just uber premium, just as a straight midfield. Yeah, as a forward, it's so easy to just pick him. He's going to be the number one guy. They sought him for a reason. They got rid of Jack Steele. They brought in Flanders. They've got McRae in there, but it's going to be Flanders as the guy. Locked away.
No, couldn't agree more. I think he'll be in a lot of our captaincy calculations throughout the year. So, lock him away and don't even look at moving him out of your side. Moving into the Primos ties, there's, again, a few here. We'll start in defence. Cal Wilkie, he has had some Supercoach relevance in the past, but would you look there at all this year?
Not at this stage. I just can't back him in. Yes, he's been good previously, but I don't think that he is going to be up to the heights of the halfbacks that we've known to see over the last few years really dominate. Wilkie would be a pod, comes up for them intercept marks, but I can't see it happening. Would you even look at Cal Wilkie's 500k on the nose? At all?
Nah, not for mine. Not with the inclusion of Jack Silvani, who I think that they'll want to use his intercepting capabilities a little bit more. And Wilkie's so good defensively that I think they'll probably lean on him to do that start of the game predominantly. So yeah, he's one that I'm happy to let through to the keeper. Jack Sinclair, on the other hand, Tice, I think he's a really good point of difference to start the year. He's flying under a lot of people's radars. He did the same thing at the start of last year, and then started the year like a house on fire, and then everyone brought him in throughout the year. So I'm getting the same sort of feeling this time around. I think even myself in my rankings, I think I slipped him a little bit. I don't know why he would drop off from what he did last year.
I've been trying to hold off from telling you this, Dars, for the last week, and I wanted to drop it on this pod. But Jack Sinclair will finish the year D1. That's what I'm going to say. I am starting Jack Sinclair over Nasai Wanganimmalera.
Wow,
who we'll get to in a second.
Is huge.
But
that is huge.
Why can't he? To be honest, Jack Sinclair was sharing the ball with Wang most of last year until Wanganimmalera moved into the midfield. When that occurred, it's only Sinclair as the one distributing off the back line, and he was just pumping out scores, 120s, 130s at the back end of last year. It's just he is going to be the guy. If Jack Carroll is second fiddle to be the distributor of halfback, lock Sinclair in as D1 for the entire year. I think it's a no-brainer at this point. And if he stays as a pod, I am laughing at this point. Like, it's just 8% owned is way unders, way unders in my opinion.
Yeah, he's been so consistent for so long. I love the pick. Picking him over NAS is huge. Like that anti-pod of going against one of the highest owned players in the comp at 51% is massive. And it could get you a leg up for sure. Is there a world in which you start them both?
I really want to, and I did have them at the point when I convinced myself on Sinclair. But I just can't. I'm just going to get slaughtered on that buy. It's just going to kill me. And my theory at the moment is the fact that Wanganeen-Milera playing midfield, yes, he's a freak and can put up the huge scores. But if there's a tag, if he's coming up against a tag, it's Wanganeen-Milera is getting that tag. And Flanders can run free or whatever, but Wanganeen-Milera is going to be that more damaging player who would cop the tag. And being a midfielder, no one stays above 600k and like not come down at any point. Being a midfielder, you can get tagged out of games. You just drop a couple of back-to-back 80s and then he's dropping down in price. And I feel that way with Wanganeen-Milera. So that's why I'm locking in Sinclair, because he's just going to be not tagged, just a constant ball distributor. And Wanganeen-Milera would be the guy that fluctuates a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. No. I don't mind it. It is a big fade. I think the thing that would scare me off is the whole anti-pod of NAS. Like the whole anti-podding of NAS is such a risk in and of itself, because yeah, he can get tagged, but if he doesn't, I think his ceiling is so high. Like look at Melbourne, for example. Like he's got Melbourne in round 1. We know what he did against Melbourne the last time he played Melbourne. Like scored 160, just clutched up in that last quarter. He has other strings to his bow. I think even if he's getting attention, he can find his way out of it and still score good enough. Not saying that you won't be able to get him cheaper. I think you definitely can. And like you said, he's got that early buy. So if you get lucky and find a way to get him after that, then yeah. But like he's got Collingwood in round 0. Collingwood won't show any attention to him. He'll score 150 that day, and then it'll sort of be an uphill battle from there about trying to find a way to get him into your side. So yeah, I love the Sinclair pick. I also love the NAS pick, so it's hard to differentiate the two.
Yeah, and I just can't bring myself to pick them both, because then I'm screwed on that buy, and I've already set myself way behind the pack for having two of them. But I'm more convinced on Sinclair than I am Wanganeen-Milera at the moment. Just from a SuperCoach point of view, obviously Wanganeen-Milera is a better player, but we're talking about SuperCoach here. So yes, like you said, Collingwood probably won't show any attention, but I think the thing you need to remember in the Melbourne game where he dropped 162 is the fact that he was only on, I think it was 80 right before the two plays where he clutched up and won the game. And it just shows that he wasn't too comfortable in the Melbourne game until the very last couple of minutes. So I'm backing that in. GWS could show a bit of attention to him. Brisbane's always a hard matchup. Then they've got the bye. I'm hoping that I can look at him around that round 5, round 6 range, because I want to get him in as soon as possible, but after his bye.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I don't mind it. I think it could bite you, but I think the Sinclair pick is really, really good as well. So, and I also kind of agree. I wouldn't want to start both of them. So, leaning one way and going for the pod in Sinclair, I think is a good move. Moving on, mate, into the midfield. They've got Jack Macrae there. Obviously, we've talked about a couple other guys I'll run through there, but they're in SuperCoach, they're on different lines. So, in terms of pure midfielders, SuperCoach-wise, it's mainly just Jack Macrae. He started his career at St Kilda pretty well at the start of last year, but sort of died off a little bit in the second half. Do you think he can reach the heights that we know Jack Macrae to get to, or is he just sort of going to plateau around that 500k mark for the rest of his career?
Probably the latter. I mean, a bit of both. It depends how St Kilda want to structure up. Jack Macrae is a gun on baller, And I feel like towards the back end of last year, when they were experimenting with him, it was more okay. We're out of the finals race. Let's see what we've got. Throw some people around. That's when Wang sort of moved into the midfield and really became dominant. So they know that they've got that, but I think McRae has to go back to the midfield role, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts off the season pretty hot. But yeah, it's probably too much of a risky pick to start.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's not someone that I'd be that keen on. To finish with the players' types, we'll look into the ruck department, and there is obviously in years gone by, two huge ruck choices, and I think the question this year is whether and how they work together in Tom de Koning and Rowan Marshall. In terms of today's practice match, the TDK started in the first centre bounce, but there was like Marshall took a ruck contest at half back 4 minutes in, so there is going to be a lot of sharing of the load. I think there, it's hard to put my finger on it. Me and you talked today about Tom de Koning and if he's a genuine sneaky option, if he gets that number one ruck role, but at this point, I just think it's looking more like a 60-40 split than the 80-20 that you're hoping for.
Yeah, we were chatting about possibly being a nice pod pick at 524k. If he has 80% and it's guaranteed to be 80%, then yeah, it's a genuine chance of being a sneaky option. But with Rowan Marshall being a top end ruckman as well, it's hard to back that in terms of it's not going to happen. TDK is going to be the guy, and Rowan Marshall's only playing as a deep forward. He has been training there, and TDK has been training as the main ruck. But yeah, like you said, it's probably going to be a 60-40 split.
Yeah, and if anything goes wrong, they can just switch that up mid game as well. So I think that threat always hanging over the head is going to be a little bit too much for either of them. Obviously, not picking Tom Marshall, not picking Rowan Marshall as a forward, and yeah, the threat over TDK's head is too much for mine at this stage. That's just something that players Tice. The early fixture, we mentioned that Collingwood round zero and Melbourne to start the Supercoach season. Does it get much easier?
No, it's GWS, then Brisbane before their bye in round 4. Then they've got both the Adelaide sides over there. Then it lightens up for them. West Coast, Carlton. They don't have Gold Coast, but then Richmond after that. So it's a bit of a hit and miss sort of start to the year. Yeah, like I was saying, round 4 and the round 16 bye. You always need to tread with caution in terms of picking one of the early bye rounds, but I almost think most sides need to pick either Sinclair or NAS, whoever you're convinced on more, to start your year because they will be D1 and D2. Or, well, at least top 3. Connor Rosie is probably in there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they'll definitely both be up there. And they both benefit, I think, from splitting off halfback and playing in different lines. I think it'll just only boost their scoring. So, yeah, definitely two that you should have by the end of the year. What about the Saints in general, Tice? Where do you see them come season's end?
Yeah, I reckon they'll fight for a wild card round, but I reckon it might be a year too early for them, just with a lot of new players coming in and trying to gel. I think they have a good side. Maybe next year is going to be their year, but they'll be there or thereabouts for me. What about you, Das?
I think they'll push. I think I see them finishing top 8, really, probably that 7 or 8 position, playing in that wild card round. But I think their talent is too much. I think their midfield will be really strong with different players running through there this year with a lot of X factors. So I'm keen. I think Jack Silvani is big in as well. If they can get Max King's body right, I think it'll be huge and get the most out of Rowan Marshall down there as well. But that's probably it to sum up the St Kilda podcast, mate. A lot of relevancy there with a lot of big, highly owned players and a couple of nice pods as well. But until next time, I'll see you soon and we'll discuss Sydney.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Das.
Thanks, Tuss.